The following program is a Creative Magic Network production.
You're listening to the Frederic Bai Show, where sky is the limit and space is the place. Here's your host, Frederic Bai.
Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome. Come on in, sit down, relax, put your earbuds on. This is the Frederic Bai Show, and welcome. This radio podcast is about unleashing your creativity. We step into the unknown. It is a magical, intuitional, inspirational radio podcast as we chat with charismatic enigmas. That's right, people, artists from around the globe, musicians, singers, radio hosts, business people, photographers, everything in between. I am Frederic Bai, the man of the hour, the man with the power. I'm too sweet to be sour. Hey, I'm funky like a monkey, I sting like a bee, produce sweet honey, and I am pretty. I am your favorite French kidder, and today we have a fascinating interview. We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. It's linked to money. I like that. It's linked to the entertainment industry, arts, and money. I think the biggest obstacle for a lot of people in the entertainment industry is money. It's always in business in general. Anyway, it's money. And so today we have a very fascinating guest. All our guests are fascinating and all our shows are fascinating. I know I say this on every single show, but today we're talking with Jack Boyajian. He's the CEO of FundFlix. It's meant to help people in the TV industry get funding, and also it's meant to help investors find a new place to invest, which is the TV industry, movie industry. And after founding and developing the crowdfunding and an investment platform for premeir real estate ENDVEST, Mr. Boyajian and his team reappropriated the customized platform for the entertainment industry. You can find him at fundflix.com. That's FundFlix.com. How are you today, Jack?
I'm doing great, Frederic. Good to be with you.
Awesome. So, as I mentioned in the intro, you have a long history. You have a great history. You're a businessman, and you're helping people in the TV industry, in the movie industry, and you have also different other projects that you're doing right now. We're going to talk about those. But first, just to get an idea here of for our audience, give us an idea here of your background a little bit.
Sure. Well, again, thank you for inviting me. I have a very unusual background. I'm not your typical financier or maybe even your typical businessman. I actually was born in Beirut, Lebanon, to Armenian immigrants there. We fled the Turkish genocide back in the early part of the 20th century. My family did. And I was born in Beirut, and I came here as a child. Didn't even speak a word of English. And so in that sense, I'm a true byproduct of the American dream. I started working with my father in his businesses very young because I was his translator, then eventually became his manager, and then eventually became his co-owner. And then I was fortunate enough to be given a scholarship to the Wharton School of Finance in the University of Pennsylvania. And after graduating there, I was stung by the entrepreneurial bee, as you said. You sting like a bee. Well, the entrepreneurial bug stung me, and I took a diverted route. Rather than investment banking, I went into real estate, and I did very well, exceptionally well, successfully. Thank God, and I had great partners. But real estate is a cyclical business, right? We know that, and so what comes up usually kind of either comes down or stabilizes. Historically, the secret is to survive those cyclical situations, and so I went through 4 cycles. The last one being a few years ago, starting in the Great Recession, but all in every case, came back and even more stronger than before. And I eventually went back to law school just to learn the law. I don't practice. I just use it for my everyday purposes. And the reality is that this cycle around, being a little older than I am when I was 30 years younger, coming out of school and wanting to do everything and anything, I'm really more interested in helping industries and individuals to realize their dreams to become more resourceful for themselves and their families. And so, what I found is that a great thing changed in 2013, Frederic. We were able to essentially change the banking laws from 80 years ago by allowing capital to be formed amongst common people. And so that was the Jobs Act, and it doesn't stand for jobs. It's about the acronym really stands for Jump Starting Our New Startups. And so that's what that is. And the core issue there is that it provides a mechanism in which common folks can invest in projects and in properties and in individuals that they want to, and they're able to make money doing it. Not everyone's going to make money in every single project, and it's not going to be tremendous wealth, but it's an opportunity that never existed before. Right. And so that's how we started ENDVEST, and that's how we eventually ended up in FundFlix. And FundFlix essentially is you can participate in the entertainment business, supporting the people and the projects you want to support, and make money doing it and have a lot of fun doing it at the same time.
I always like to ask the guests this question because I think it's an important question for the audience, and we're going to come back to FundFlix. But what are, you say you went to school and then you kind of did entrepreneurship after that. A lot of people would like to be entrepreneurs or artists. They think they got to study in school, to become an entrepreneur or artist. In your case, you became an entrepreneur, but how did school help you becoming an entrepreneur? What's the link? What is, you know what I mean?
I was an entrepreneur before. I was unusual. When I went to Wharton, I already owned 3 businesses. I was only 18 years old, and I was doing tremendously well. And I never applied to a different school. That was the only school I applied to, and I got in. And otherwise I would have probably never gone to school, and I would have been an entrepreneur. Probably regretted not getting an education. But my family didn't have a lot of educational background. So, for me, it was a crazy great thing to be part of a huge, important school like that. But what was interesting, Frederic, is that in many ways, when I was in school, I learned a lot. There's no question. But it was more of an identification and a labeling of the things that I intuitively learned as an entrepreneur, being on the other side of that counter, being on the other side of those product orders and vendors. You get to learn a lot about yourself and the intuition that you work with to be a good steward of your own resources, right? So that was more important, frankly, in my development as an individual and as an entrepreneur than the school was. The school absolutely helped. It labeled things for me. It made things clear. It answered questions that I intuitively had about why things worked the way they did. But at the end of the day, experience is, I think, as important, if not a little bit more important, than the education. If you don't put the education to work, you're not going to get the best out of it. And many times people do say that, you should, before you go to graduate school, for example, your listeners probably have heard this before, go back and get a job for a couple of years and then go to graduate school. There's a reason for that, right? It's because they want you to get world experience before you get to understand why things work the way they do. Mm-hmm. And the same with law, by the way. I went to law school 10 years after I was out of Wharton. And it was, but I had been using lawyers as an entrepreneur, as a businessman for a whole decade, writing big checks to them, right? And always asking them, well, what are you doing with this? Why are we doing this? What is that strategy? Why are we working it this way? And the answer I usually got was, don't worry about it, Jack. You do the business, we'll do the law. Leave the law up to us. Well, you know what?
Isn't that dangerous?
Sure. No question it's dangerous, Frederic. It's more than dangerous. It's almost naive to a fault. Mm. And that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid people having your success and your results in their hands rather than in your own.
Yeah.
And that's my message to your listeners overall. If you want to be an entrepreneur, take hold of your own experience and your energy and put it to work where you want to go, and stay persistent. never let failure stop you from moving into your next victory and your next success, because failure is only another form of education. Only another form, nothing more than that.
Right. All right, once again, we're here with Jack Boyajian. He's the CEO of FundFlix, which is meant to help people in the TV industry get funding and also invest. You can find him at fundflix.com. All right, so you have an interesting background. How did you learn English, by the way? When you say you came from, how is it that you just by speaking with your friends, or because you came from?
Well, eventually it was. I started thinking in English, and that's when you start learning English, right? Yeah. But what was interesting is that I learned my first words from I Love Lucy, the show.
Okay.
I used to sometimes use the Spanish accent to say Ricky, So. Yeah. But it was interesting. But as a child, your brain is always open, right? And you learn a lot, and that's the best time to learn a language. And I was fortunate enough to learn more languages than just English, and I kept my Armenian, and I still speak a little bit of the other languages that I used to know. So.
Right. And all right, so now you funded FundFlix. A lot of people would like to fund things. I mean, would like to do new things, like you, you're an entrepreneur,
Sure.
You're a serial entrepreneur. Take us to the process of setting up FundFlix, and what were some of the challenges when you did that?
Sure, yeah, there were a few. When we started our investment platform. Before we started, we went to others who had done something similar. They had created these opportunities for people to come in and put their projects up, and then allow the rest of the world to see them on the internet.
Right.
Well, that was the subscription model, and there's a few companies, they do it well. I'm not saying they don't. It's called a white glove service, but you're always beholden to them and their platform and their client base. And it's not the optimum scenario. If you don't have the money and the time and the effort and the intuition to do your own platform building, that's certainly an option. For us, it wasn't, because we wanted to make something very different. We wanted to have a platform where individuals could go not only across projects and types of investments, but also across verticals. What I mean by that is, we started with the real estate platform for crowdfunding called ENDVEST, which stands for Equity and Debt Investing, basically ENDVEST, ENDVEST. But we also started the vertical for FundFlix, which is the opportunity to invest in entertainment and movies and collateral interests. And that's FundFlix. Now, we're also developing other verticals, which you can talk about later. But so the concept was to start a platform and develop a platform that could provide a number of different things for essentially the world investor. So what are some of those interesting differences? Mm-hmm. One is that we're going to be multi-currency this coming quarter, in Q2. That means we will be able to take investments in about 12 different currencies, and then eventually in 50. The other thing is we built in our own, and we'll be advancing our own secondary exchange market internal, so that if you missed an investment opportunity a year ago, you could buy by basically buying someone else's interest who needs to maybe liquidate or wants to liquidate and go into another deal that we have. That's another very different structure. And we want it to be a very influential and creative group where we're providing a medium for people who could otherwise not get funding in the mainstream within their own industry. And we'll talk a little bit about that with FundFlix. So these were differences that really propelled us to say, you know what, let's wait, let's develop our investment platform the way we want to do it. And then let's make sure that we can do it in a way where we could get into these other verticals as they become available. And the key, by the way, is that we have we're going to have a singular e-wallet where all of your investments, results of your investments can flow into the e-wallet. And then you could invest in other programs and in other projects, even from that e-wallet. So imagine you put in a $10,000 into one of our films, and in a year you got back $50,000, which, by the way, is not an unusual scenario, not in good films that succeed. And then you could invest in some real estate in town where you live or nearby, or maybe across the world, maybe in Philippines or maybe in Africa. And these are opportunities that broaden yourself at your horizon and diversifies your investments almost by naturally, right? Instead of having to go in and buy stocks of multinational companies that you don't really know what they're doing in those boardrooms, here you could do direct investment to the projects that are near and dear to you and that you think are going to take off. So that's basically how things got started with FundFlix and ENDVEST. Now, your listeners could do it themselves. They could, there's things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, but those guys are not really for the equity side. They usually are based on having people gift those investments or those payments without really anything in return. But that's going to change. That's going to change, Frederic, because the Jobs Act is going to eventually become much more prominent in the way capital is formed. And Wall Street's going to get less and less important because people are going to take their investments into their own hands. 10 to 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about this as the primary way people invest rather than buying stocks and bonds.
Well, yeah, and that was going to be a question of mine, like, what's the difference between that, FundFlix and, let's say, Kickstarter, and right, you get a return on your investment on FundFlix, where Kickstarter, you don't get that, basically. Yeah,
you don't get that. You get the benefit of knowing that you helped an artist launch their career, and you might get a T-shirt, you might get a couple of tickets to their next concert, but you're not getting the benefit of saying, I am part of that success and that experience. And that's, I think, one of the things that, we really do provide in FundFlix that doesn't exist in the others.
Are investors allowed to be on the set? Like, don't you have that option too?
That's a cool question. We want to, and we're going to. A lot depends on the project and where it's being shot. Another is the particular director's interest in helping with our integration and helping with their investors feeling like they're part of the whole experience. But most directors are cool about that, and most producers are as well. And one of the things we're doing, Frederic, is if in those cases where that's not available, maybe it's shooting in Canada or shooting in some other location for various reasons, the internet really provides a tremendous opportunity to bring everything closer. So we're going to put a camera right on the cameras. And so we'll be able to shoot what the camera is shooting, and we'll be able to see what the director's doing, and we'll be able to see how some of these stars and the talent that's in there interact with each other off camera. So it's a pretty cool way to kind of bring the production side back to the investors as well. And you know what it also does? It also creates interest in the product itself and the production itself, right? So you have a built-in kind of a pent-up demand for the what's going to end up in the can. How is this going to really come out? And isn't it cool to be able to be part of that when opening day arrives? Right. So and that's what we're going to do. But we're going to also help in certain situations. We're going to be able to open up for extras. You could get on the set as an extra. If we need a crowd, you could be part of the crowd. If we need somebody to say one line, we could say that one line. And there is really an opportunity. Who knows? Maybe somebody will be discovered on set. It'd be a cool opportunity to do that.
Right. All right. Once again, we're here with Jack Boyajian. He's the CEO of FundFlix, meant to help people in the TV industry get funding and also have investors put the money somewhere, which is in the in the movie industry. After founding and developing the crowdfunding and investment platform for Premier Real Estate ENDVEST, Mr. Boyajian and his team reappropriated the customized platform for the entertainment industry. You can find him at FundFlix.com. And by the way, guys, right before continuing this conversation, if you have a passion, something that fuels curiosity, Well, on top of getting fascinating interviews such as this one straight to your inbox, when you subscribe to our free Creative Magic community, you will get super cool exclusive gifts in return, such as the ebook Happiness Quotes by the ambassador of happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, one of our hosts here at the Creative Magic Network. And this small book is an anthology of 25 inspirational quotes about living a happy life from the inside out. It is cataloged by the ambassador of happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, and further enhanced by her reflections. She offers information, anecdotal stories, and more to help underscore each contributor's quote. And she also provides suggestions to help you incorporate these maxims into part of your mental landscape. So you can subscribe for free at fredericbuy.com. That's Frederic with a C, buy like bye-bye.com. All right, Jack, in building this project, in being in this project, what are some of the issues and challenges you see as it pertains to the entertainment industry and indie artists?
Yeah, good question. It's surprising to me how the same issues that affect other businesses affect the industry itself. The film industry is not. It's really like you were saying in your intro, Frederic. It's affected by just about everything. Everything else that's affected by money. Film and entertainment is all money driven, unfortunately, in some ways. Creativity is key. Finding the right project is not a question of money, but it is a question of identifying talent. But yeah, there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of good projects. They've never been made. And that's because they haven't had the jet fuel called money. Money is the jet fuel for dreamers and good doers in the world, right? They are. And so without that jet fuel, you don't get much farther than maybe friends and family reading your script saying, hey, what a great idea this is. And then it doesn't happen. So the idea here is to offer that creative element to a broader base where the internet is our vehicle to do that, right? You didn't have that 30 years ago. Right. So you couldn't really distribute your ideas and communicate your ideas unless somebody was willing to write about it, or you were on a TV show or talk show or whatever, right? Here, the internet has really become instrumental in distributing those ideas. And then one more step is an investment platform where you can confidently, securely, and with passion be able to actually participate in this and keep up with it. Keep aware of what's going on, watch the film almost being made and then being able to tell people, listen, I helped put that thing together. I helped form that project. And so, it's a wonderful concept, but yes, I was challenged to see how we could develop the platform so that both the creative side was willing to share their information, their creation and their project, and on the other side, having the investors be willing and interested to come in and support. Right now, the films that we have up on FundFlix is basically for the accredited investor. That's going to change soon. The non-accredited investors, who are those who make less than $200,000 a year and don't have $1 million in equity or net worth other than their home, that's the challenge. Right now, the challenge is to bring films available where the non-accredited individuals can participate and invest. For the moment, the SEC's rules only allow us to raise $1 million maximum per project, which limits the number of projects we could fund through the platform. If we want the non-accrediteds to be able to participate. For accredited investors, which there's only about 3 to 4% in our country are accredited, that opportunity is available right now, and you can participate in these films that we're offering, which is great. But my goal, what I'm looking forward to, Frederic, is when we can provide a lot of opportunities for everybody to participate in the film industry, because then the minimum investment can be as little as $250, And you can also you don't have to go through this accreditation process. And I'm looking forward, really honestly, to the SEC loosening up those rules where that limit will be increased, right, to maybe $5 million. And then that opens up a long opportunity, long options available. Yeah.
What is the current minimum to invest?
Right now, on our platform right now, it's $5,000 to invest in any of the films that we're presenting. The total project size is somewhere between $2 to $5 million in production cost all the way through, and the projected return on investment is even on the more conservative, middle of the road projections. Investors can get back double or triple their money in a matter of 2 years or less than 2 years, 18 months. But what's even better than that is that once they get their money back and their profits from the film goes into our FundFlix library. And all the films go into our library. And all the revenues, all the residual income from those library content get distributed to all the investors. So if I went into one film and it was a B plus, A minus success, and you went into one that was an A plus success, well, together, after we both earn our own returns, you and I will share in those two together equally if we had the same equal investment in each of our films. So it's a way to keep everybody involved in all the films and to kind of spread the wealth, so to speak. Because in the movie industry and in the entertainment industry, Frederic, you probably figured this out as well as your audience, right? It's common to say, well, sometimes you have a few winners and sometimes you have a few losers, and who knows which one is what, right? We never know. I mean, you can look at a lot of people have passed on many great films. A lot of studio executives, they didn't feel the pulse right. But if all the films came together in one library after the initial release and initial run, well, then everybody shares in all the success of all the films, or even lower success or higher success. So it's a great way to keep everybody in the FundFlix family by putting all of these into the library and then having everybody also share in that library. But the great thing about this is that these films are very well curated. We look at everything. We select our talent, or at least we look at the directors and the producers behind it, and so these films are really going to do very well in the box office and in the later on in Netflix or in other streaming medium, and that's going to have a good life for a long time on these projects. They're all meaningful projects. Socrates, for example, it's about a young boy who finds a soccer ball that inspires him to do better as a player. Up to then, he doesn't have as much confidence as he would like to, and the soccer ball teaches him the confidence, and then it kind of isn't around for the big game, and yet everything works out, right? Because he built up his confidence. Another one is about heavenly stars. It's about the stars of yesteryears coming back in a faith-based movie it takes place during the holiday season, and it's about supporting the homeless within the communities that we all live in. And there's a lot of homelessness in our world, and we need to help support people getting back on their feet. And this is a movie that inspires us to do that, and it's fun and it's interesting, and it's got all our old rock and roll stars and other entertainment figures that have become icons in our past. And that's also a $5,000 minimum investment. There, we think the project is about a $5 million project, but it'll grow somewhere in the $30 to $60 million range. Mm-hmm. And so after all the expenses of distribution and production is paid, the returns are directly to our investors. And you know what else is really cool about that? Mm-hmm. Frederic, you've heard something. Have you heard about it, the way Hollywood does accounting? Have you heard that term, Hollywood accounting? Yeah. And what do you think that means? I mean, what does it mean to you? What do you think it means?
Well, it means that they don't want to give the money back. You don't want to pay the little guy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
tell our audience what it is exactly.
Sure. And I'm glad you asked. So, and I'm not saying every studio does this. Okay. Yeah. But generally, studios have this huge overhead with top paid executives that are making millions of dollars. And, and there's overhead all over the place. Right. And they make you use their own studio products and or services. So when you make a movie, you get, even if the movie were to, let's say I could do the movie without the studio for $5 million. When you're in the studio, it'll cost you 10 to 20 million potentially, because they add on these costs. And then after you get the movie made at a higher cost, where most of the money is going back to the studios as overhead, now they have a distribution system of distributing the film that's laden with huge fees. And who do those fees go to? They go to the studio or their friends and family. So what ends up happening is the guy who invested from day one, who took the big risk, right? The movie, instead of having to make $30 or $20 million for him to start getting his profits, has to make $100 million. And so that's the problem with Hollywood accounting. We get rid of that. Our studios are independent studios. We fund our own projects. Now, when it's in the can, guess what? We go to the Cannes Festival. We go to the festivals all over the world. Now we have a product. We've got it made. It's quality. Now we direct and we control the distribution at a cost that's not exorbitant. And who does that benefit? That benefits our direct investors. Mm-hmm. Our investors are the first to get paid back after our vendors and any loans that we take out. And there's very few of these projects that are going to take money as loans. These are all funded without bank financing. But we're not beholden to the studios who sometimes over-exaggerate the cost issues and essentially suck out the profits from the owners. That doesn't happen at FundFlix. That's a significant difference. That is a disturbance in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right, once again, we're here with Jack Boyajian. He's the CEO of FundFlix, which is meant to help people in the TV industry and movie industry get funding and also invest. After founding and developing the crowdfunding and investment platform for premier real estate, ENDVEST, Mr. Boyajian and his team reappropriated the customized platform for the entertainment industry. And you can find him at fundflix.com. And guys, right before continuing this conversation, are you an Amazon shopper? When you use our Amazon links at FredericBuy.com, that's Frederic with a C, buylikebuy.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the show, and it helps cover production costs at no additional cost to you. No hidden fees, no nothing. So if you like what you hear, you can help by going over to FredericBuy.com, click Amazon link in the sidebar for all your online shopping. It is really that simple, and bookmark it to find it easier. All right, why should I invest in the movie industry or with FundFlix? Because isn't investing in films risky?
No riskier than putting your money. Yeah, Frederic, I don't think so. My personal opinion is it's no riskier than putting your money in Wall Street and letting people who you don't know, who you can't influence, who you don't have any sense of what their risk assessments are, use your money and invest it. There's no difference. The difference here is, though, that you can look at the project, and if you know that, let's use Socrates as an example. Okay, it's all about the soccer craze, right? Family soccer. The child is 12 years old. It's the star of the movie. He's interacting with family, friends. If you know that soccer is going to be a fantastic base for family entertainment, family movies, you would want to say, you know what, I like this idea. I think this is going to be a breakout movie. It's going to send the right message. I know across my whole city, I've got at least 100 soccer families. and it's got to be like that all around the country and the world. Frankly, soccer is even more relevant in the world than it is in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. So you can have a direct impact. You can actually fund this project because it's going to be a winner. Now, if you invest in, any kind of, stock or bonds or mutual funds, do you really know where that money is going? Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're relying on those executives who have a control over the money to put it into the right project, and then, God help you, that they don't overspend on other things, right? And then that maybe then you get a profit. And that's a very disinterested method of connecting your investment to the projects themselves. And that's what I think this platform provides, that no other process, no other investment vehicle really provides. And so that's why I think, yes, movies are inherently risky. I agree with you there. Maybe a little riskier than real estate, but it's also more rewards, because you can't put $5,000 into a typical real estate project. We have projects on ENDVEST where you could put $5,000 or $10,000 and make 2 times your profit, but you have to wait a good couple of years, and that's not always the case, right? Usually the returns are somewhere around 10 or 20% a year. Here, Socrates, if it does well, can generate a return of 3x, or 2x immediately, and then has the ability to continue to provide earnings for a very long period of time, not only within the investment period that you're invested in, but also in the future in the library itself. And what about the benefit of being able to sit at a movie theater and saying, I helped make that movie? That you can't get from stocks and bonds. Right. Not even in real estate, you might be able to say, hey, I helped to build that. But movie, you imagine being able to bring on, from Netflix, a FundFlix movie, and say, hey, guess what? I'm part of this movie. And by the way, we will have opportunities down the line where if you invest a certain level, you actually be able to get some credits as a assistant executive producer, especially if you help with other ways of promoting the film or commentating on the writing and the script rewrites and things like that. But that's down the line. We're gonna do that in the future. We're also going to do other things with FundFlix when the community of FundFlix investors becomes larger, which we're very confident it will be. And I'm talking in the millions of people, Frederic. I think that we'll have that kind of. We can support up to 2 million investors right now on our platform. But that's going to give us an opportunity to have creative contests where we'll select a film of the year to produce through FundFlix, through a fund that we will establish within our group and within our community of investors, and then they'll vote on a film, and that film will be launched. It'll be green-lighted, So imagine that would be something else. Or if you know of a great writer or a great director, being able to promote those individuals through our forums and with shorts that could be presented. And then once they see the short, then they'll say, hey, I got a project that I want to do for a couple of $1 million. Will you help me? And then all of a sudden, imagine everybody coming together to support that individual who's launching. We're also going to be working with schools like Tisch School, the NYU Tisch School, which my daughter goes to, and also USC. We've been talking to them about helping some of their students who get a little bit of a small stipend to develop their films, but they never get enough to finish them the way they want to, or very often they don't get that money. We might want to help them in finishing up those projects and then helping it launch into the industry. So these are all great things as a community of investors we can do when we can't do those alone. So that's part of but yeah, I mean, coming back to your question of risk, yes, risk is always measured against rewards. And here at FundFlix, you have the rewards and you have the not only the monetary rewards, but also the non-monetary rewards that could be as meaningful as the money you make.
Right. And just to make things clear, even though the minimum is you can invest $5,000, but you still have to be an accredited investor to be able to invest $5,000, right?
That's correct. For now, you have to be accredited, but keep your eyes open. We are going to put up some those projects that are going to be that will not require it that way, and the non-accredited investors can participate. And by the way, you know which ones those are going to be, Frederic? They're going to be mostly the television entertainment pieces, where for $100 million, we could produce 13 episodes of a project, and that could launch into not only a series, which is very profitable in the industry, but also it could also promote potentially a movie that comes from that. So there's a lot of content that Netflix wants, that Amazon wants. And they're not doing it themselves because they've got a lot going on, but they'll buy the projects. And so if our investors support a 13 episodic investment, those could be easily picked up by Amazon and others. HBO, Amazon, Netflix. The content world is now becoming much more diversified, and many, many more options to present content and sell content that is quality content to the industry. And this is medium for it. This is how projects are going to get done in the future. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a very wealthy individual signing a check for $1 million and handing it to somebody and saying, "I believe in you." That doesn't happen. That happens in movies. Doesn't happen in real life. In real life, you get your friends and family to put together, but now your friends and family is the world, because you have FundFlix that's helping you launch your project and launch your and demonstrate your commitment to the industry and your raw talent, and saying, "Hey, believe in me, I can get this done." That's a great concept. It's a great ride to have, and as both a talent and an investor, because you're riding that together.
Right. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you very much for this. Hey man, tell us what's your favorite movie of all time, and remind us where we can find you again.
Okay. Well, I'm a sentimentalist. It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie, the one that shows up every season in the Christmas time, and I just love the message of that movie. And you could find us at fundflix.com, and you can reach me by emailing me at jack@fundflix.com, fundflix.com. And we're glad to see you on board, and we look forward to your investment in the projects right now online, but also keep your eye on it. We're going to be back with additional projects that all non-accredited investors can participate in for as little as $250 investment. Wow. So thank you, Frederic, for the opportunity to tell your audience what this great concept. And I'd like to come back and tell you a little bit more about our other investment opportunities that help the world in other projects too. We have an impact division.
You want to talk about it briefly here?
We have a project on ENDVEST, ENDVEST.com, in the Philippines, where we are working with the indigenous people there to take all of the lands that they've been given to them by the government and help them to resource the projects that they want to do, organic farm primarily, but also other projects where they're our partners, and the money that is generated from that part of it goes back to their community to provide health and education to their people. This is a critically important part of it. They haven't been able to do that because they don't have the money to start the projects. They don't have the markets to go to. They've been abused and oppressed by the vendors that come in and try to buy everything cheaply on them. And we are changing that. And the world is going to help fund those projects for them, and they're going to benefit from it. And you could earn 18% year over year on your investment. Where else can you put your money at 18% and have, or earn 18% and still make an impact in the world? So go to ENDVEST.com and you'll see the Philippine project as well. But we're going to have a lot more of those, and we're looking forward to changing the world by doing that. And that's all about creative processing of exact, obstacles that exist in the industries that we are involved in, and working a way to get those obstacles out of the way so projects can be successful and go forward.
Awesome. All right, Jack, thank you very much once again for this. I really appreciate the interview. And, man, good luck with FundFlix, really. This is a great project, and good luck, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
All righty, guys. Thank you again, Jack. Thank you so much for this interview. Hey, do you like movies? Do you like movies? I like movies. I watch seldom. I don't watch a lot of movies, to be honest, but I watch enough movies. I mean, I'm not a guy. I don't watch TV series. I used to watch a lot of movies, obviously, when I was younger, but now I don't. But, this project is pretty exciting, and, I love opportunities like these. And, so anyway, hey, man, Jack was a great guy, great interview. So thank you again, Jack, for doing this. And guys, we'd like to thank those who pledged to our Patreon page. You are really helpful to the show, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the network every single month and get super cool exclusive rewards in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at fredericbayer.com. And click Patreon in the header. Money is used to cover our production costs and editing time and sharing to the different podcast channels. And you can contribute for as low as $1. One single solitary dollar. Ain't that cool? Guys, we're looking also for new hosts on the network. So if you're interested, hey, if you have a passion, if you have a message to spread, a positive message to spread, you're in, and you're just a passionate person who would like to start in podcast world and maybe, have a hand on how to start and have access to an audience right now. Well, you can go to fredericbayer.com once again and click become a host in the header. And also the Creative Magic Store is open, alive and well. It's designed with meaning, meant to inspire you. Tap into your intuition and add a little bit of magic into your life. So again, click Creative Magic Store in the header at fredericbayer.com. All right, I did all my plugs, pretty good. And we have fascinating interviews coming to you soon at the beginning of this year. The first quarter is going to be amazing, I promise you that. A lot of more famous authors and artists and business people that, I'm going to be interviewing. It's going to be fun. It's really going to be a fun year. 2016, I can smell it. Can you smell it? Yes, you can. I know you can smell. I think you can smell the excitement, the enthusiasm, the goodness, the everything. I can't smell it. All right, guys. So with this, stay safe and don't forget, live with purpose, passion, fire, and love. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Frederic Bayer Show. For more information, go to fredericbayer.com. That's Frederic with a C, Bayer like bye-bye.com.